Well, hello everybody. I didn't expect to have to do a live today, but we got CBC and the Canadian Realestate Board making a propaganda presentation just 1 hour ago on housing. They say, on average, houses fell 13% year over year. However, mortgages have doubled in interest rates. What does that translate? Well, the numbers are in, the calculations done. We take the United States of America, we take the United States of America, we take their house prices in Canadian dollars converted to that average number Canada. Do you know what you find? That's the upper 3% of Americans paying that in Canadian converted funds for a house. What are we talking about? In America, on average, we're talking a 4-car garage attached, a whopping 7-bedroom house built in the last 5 years. Generally, lakefront property, generally an oceanfront property in the Canadian money. That's the upper 3% to convert average Canadian mortgages. Right now, never mind a year ago, that number is insane. And Canadians, you have to understand, who are we talking about? 60% of the population is in astronomical mortgage states right now. Places that are not 4-car garages, they're not 6 or 7 bedroom with 4 full bathrooms. That's not what those places look like. They're lucky if they have a carport or a single attached garage. That's the average, and the homes are more than 40 years old. What are we talking about? Generally the GTA, Vancouver, all of the greater Vancouver, Montreal, that's what we're talking about here, folks. 60% of Canada's population in that mess. Now, folks, it gets even more hairy. So CBC says, it's good news. Mortgages have fallen 13% on average year over year. This is great news. Except for the mortgage rates at that time were on average 3%, some under, but an average of about 3.69%, all factors in financial statuses, incomes included, for average Canadians. Okay? If we applied that same rate years ago to Americans, folks, what you have to understand, in America, you get a 30-year fixed mortgage, or 25 years, or 35 years. There's nothing under, generally on average. They're 30 years fixed, meaning there's no inflation for your mortgage as long as you make your payments faithfully. In America, on your home, you make faithful payments. Your mortgage is never going to change till the term is out and you own the house, clear title, or you apply to refinance. They can build up tremendous equity over 10, 15, 20 years without any interruptions in changes in interest rates. Well, how does it work for Canada? Well, on average, folks, people paying that massive amount of money for a home, and just a year ago it was over $701,000 on average for a home. Now those values have dropped, folks, on average $74,000. It's even more than that for that 60% in Vancouver and in the GTA and Montreal. They've fallen a lot more than that. Any of these folks who took out the mortgages with the overvalued prices that have now dropped drastically, on average $74,000. They will have had to make mortgage payments that put $74,000 on average minimum in their 5-year terms into the equity of their home just to come out the exact same, plus higher monthly interest payments. Folks, the average Canadian at that price, at that $701,000, dropping the average $74,000, has to increase their mortgage rates if they get a renewal at their 5-year term. If they get one, they're going to have had that equity or increase their interest payments inside their next 5-year term by an average of $350. Just that alone. Americans converted to Canadian in that 3%, their mortgages are $700 a month less in the 3% of Americans, because there's no way your average American even comes close. They're literally half, if not more, than what the average Canadian mortgage is. Half. For a much newer, much cleaner, better place than you got. Why is that? 94.5% of America is made available to Americans. Only 9% of Canada is made available to Canadians. They crush you into little boroughs, overvaluing your land to gain more tax advantage. And there's even worse and more than this. It's literally a state system, like a communism. It's not, though. Communists don't give property, and they lease it out for lease terms. You lease it. You can lease like a mortgage 30 years. If you had enough money, you could do 150 years. Pass your lease, inherit your lease. I don't like that system, but I don't like a system that puts the inflation on the borrower, making the wealthy lender rich beyond all measure. I don't like my government in bed with the wealthy elite at absolutely the people's expense. America is the flip polar opposite. They say, we the people, it's your risk, lender, to lend to me. If inflation overtakes you, another big shark in the financial waters will buy you out when you go down the toilet because you didn't do proper vetting or you didn't account for inflation. It was your risk. In Canada, there's no risk for the financial system. Zero, none whatsoever. It's all on every Canadian because your subjects are savages, and that's how the government has legally crafted you. They do it financially too. This housing crisis, do you know how many people in the GTA, Vancouver, Montreal are not going to be able to renew their mortgages? They're going to go in at the end of their 5-year term. They've been good. They've made all their payments. And all of a sudden they say, yeah, we have to increase your monthly payments by so much dollars, more than 15% of your mortgage over the next 25 years. And you'll renew every 5 years. Hopefully interest rates go down, but they could go up. But they're going to say to these people, I'm sorry, but when you bought this place in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the value was up at $800,000. Then it dropped to $726, and now $701, and then now, right now, $620-some thousand. They say if you bought and you've been making your payments, but you've only put $22,000 on principal, you have an outstanding lack of equity in this house, meaning your mortgage is this small in the value, but your place has fallen this much. See the distance there? That means we can't renew your mortgage. And if your incomes aren't there, or you haven't got enough money in the bank saved to make up the shortfall, they don't issue you a mortgage. Oh, good. I thought I lost everybody. That's what the bank does. They say, listen, your house we lent you the money when the house was worth this, but we've devalued it to that. Here's the shortfall in between. And your payments and equity are only here. There's a distance rate here that you can't account for. Your income hasn't gone up enough to match what you owe or the difference. You haven't saved enough money to pay us the difference. We're going to take the house away from you. We're going to auction it. And then whatever you owe is going to be claimed against you. We'll probably sell it for much less. But at the interest rates we have, the phenomenal interest rates, the bank's going to be just fine. They're going to make all that money from you like you leased it from them. And now they're kicking you out. And then they're going to sell it to somebody else who can. And for the Canadian government saying foreigners can't buy housing. Canadians, do you know the tiny amount of foreigners who actually go for housing? It's so tiny. Do you know what really is the driver of foreign buying into Canadian real estate? Well, that would be developers. These are Canadian registered companies with a board CEO who's Canadian and a big board of shareholders, voting shareholders, preferred shareholders, who are 75% of the company. Those are the foreigners. That's perfectly legal in Canada. It's called state housing. It's called corporate state-owned housing. You're going to be renters. You're going to make more Canadians renters to developers, not foreign buyers buying houses. These foreign corporations are going to buy whole blocks, which they've been doing in Vancouver and GTA forever and a day, smash down all your houses that were overvalued to begin with. Then they're going to put a big concrete pad and they're going to build a straight up tower of condo units, and they will take a neighborhood in the tens of millions and turn it into a $380 million massive high-rise housing complex where you will pay still $1 million for a condo, an apartment condo. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. And if you can't mortgage for it because you've been bankrupted in the housing crisis, well, don't worry. You can pay the overinflated rents. More renters, less home owners. And it will be corporate developments. 75% foreign shareholders, which the board's accountable to. Sure, there'll be 25% Canadians there, but it's not their personal homes. It's their corporation, their massive monies. And who's financing them? Well, the banks, of course. The banks give them all the loans to do these developments with all the mortgage payment money they stole from you because you never got your property. See what happened? They tricked you into an overinflated lease, the illusion that it would be your house. This is going to be the coming reality in a massive, large amount for the GTA, Montreal, and absolutely Vancouver. It's almost 60% of the Canadian population. Screwed, manipulated. I've been looking at guys at work on their properties, what their values are, have they fallen? And yeah, there's a bunch. You look at what a mortgage that they got a number of years ago, only in these limited 5-year terms, because remember, inflation belongs to you, the Canadian subject and savage. The American citizen, it belongs to the corporation, the lender. They have to do a whole term, one fixed term for the life of the mortgage. Not you, Canadians. You get subject to the Crown, and whenever they want to appease their rich friends, they will rob you all blind. And it's kind of funny because that's the Liberals' base. I kind of laugh at this. Everybody wants to talk when you're doing a live. But what's really funny is the Liberal base is absolutely the GTA and absolutely Vancouver. You will find a tremendous amount federally there. That's how they survive, the big mega cities. Montreal too, on the federal level. But folks, what's going to happen in the next federal election. Like I said, I am sure Pierre Poilievre is going to win. These realities are coming sooner than later. I can tell you 300,000 men, women, and children are going to find themselves from a middle class standard just in the next year to all of a sudden down in the dumps, starting over in dire straits. There's no financial bailout for them. Well, what are taxpayers going to do? Start writing checks for $74,000 on average to citizens of the GTA and Vancouver? That's a whopping amount of money. Not going to happen. And somebody's got to get rich. That's how the crown works. It's a pyramid scheme. Little people always suffer. Always suffer. This isn't the truth or anywhere near the same in the United States of America. There will be no housing crisis, I can tell you all clearly. Most Americans still have at least 23 years left on those mortgages, and all those, on average, 90% of all American mortgages right now are at the 3% level for the mortgage. On a mortgage that is substantially less, almost half as much as the Canadian average. It's insane. And nobody sees this. CBC makes a propaganda video that doesn't even explain equity loss and mortgage renewal in the face of substantial equity loss. Benefit the next generation, an average house of $620-some thousand for a brand new starting out Canadian? That's insane. Those mortgages are insane. The interest rates today are insane. The payments have never been as high. Never been as high. You literally have to come up with $3,800 on average. In the GTA, Vancouver, it's a little more, and Montreal. And remember, that's an average of all of Canada. We don't see those big losses and gains out west or in the Atlantic, although we have seen major gains in the Atlantic, but they're still so subpar. We're literally at the 200,000 mark, but it's been growing astronomically. Some Atlantic region areas, we're looking at a 39% increase in housing values to make that average. But think about that 624,000 they talk about. GTA was 700,000 and even higher before that. These people in the last 5 years buying and where they're currently sitting are in big trouble. It's a housing crisis like not seen since 2008 and 9, and it's only Canada. Won't even be a drop in the bucket for the United States of America. Your average American won't even know what you're all talking about. They won't understand how that's even possible. They don't even understand 5, 3, and 1 year mortgage terms. They go, that's insane. That's socialism. In fact, it's divine socialism, folks. Divine elite crown socialism for a wealthy elite in a total pyramid scheme. That's the country we live in. That's my video. Get it shared out there. The link of the CBC article's there. A complete mortgage calculation breakdown. And remember, Americans are day 1 to 30 years or maybe 25. But generally on average, American mortgages are fixed for 30 years, the entire life of the mortgage. No renewal dates. You want to renew your mortgage, you have to refinance. And you can do that. Americans do that, restructure their lives. But the idea is stability of we, the people. The lender's the one making all the money. Look at the massive amounts they make in interest. That should be enough. But it's not. In Canada, it's steal back your limited property all the time. This has been going on a very, very long time. And nobody wakes up to it. Like, people think that this is normal. It's normal to start out with a mortgage and planning your life, having children, and then 5 years later, through the roof. Well, you can't give away your children. You can't get a better job. You're in your career. That's all there is. Where's the stability in that? Where in any system you can see, is that a good thing for average people? The answer is it isn't. And we're going to see it in the next year, a year after that. Basically, all the way for 4 years, you're going to watch a monumental amount of people lose everything. Super recession created by the crown elite, wealthy first class, starting with who? Your politicians. It's going to cost Trudeau. That's probably a good thing. I hate Trudeau, but Pierre Poilievre will do it too. If you don't believe me, just look at Stephen Harper, 2008 and 9. Socialism, divine socialism, is a conservative or liberal piece. They use it all the time. If they didn't, we wouldn't have record monumental federal and provincial deficits. They roll over each other. I'll double down on the last one. There's always an excuse for the radical agendas in financial that is placed on all of you. It's placed on all of you. Housing debt goes on you, the people, whether you own a house or not. Corporate debt all goes on you, the people, whether you have a corporation or not. You will all equally share that as the low subjects and savages. You will share that. It's called public debt. We can go on and on and on. All government debt just goes on all of you. Mortgage the children of tomorrow and the people of today. Just mortgage them out. Keep making them worth less. Deflate them. Deflate them. It's slavery. It's slavery. And people don't see it. Share the video. Get it out there. It's breaking news just an hour ago. A tremendous piece of propaganda from CBC. Liquidating a lot of Canadians. A lot of Canadians are going to be screwed. Especially in the GTA, Vancouver, Montreal. Going to be devastated upon mortgage renewal. When those come up, people are going to find out I'm not eligible to renew. My income isn't strong enough. I don't have enough equity in the house. I have no savings because of massive inflation. I'm going to get thrown out of my house. No one will lend to me, or it's going to be lent to you at like a credit card interest rate. That's what happens. At a low term, an impossible way forward. You wouldn't even get lynched that hard in rents. It's sick. It's depraved. It's crown. Bye now.